Hi, I'm Nikeeya and I'm going to show you how to do mini moccasins or mukluks from Nikeeya Native Crafts and the way to Native Chronicles. I'm going to show you how to make these tiny mini moccasins. First of all, I made a little pattern for the sole part. It's very tiny and it works just fine for me. And then I have a little vamps to go with it, like that. I kind of cut it like this, because this way this sticks out, the tongue sticks out a little bit out for moccasins and for wraparounds or whatever you want to design later. And I always save my scraps of moose hide. This is very soft, and what I do is I just trace it with this little pattern around, and a little for the back I just put little dots there. I cut it like that because this way I know how much to cut here. So, and then I take the little vamps. What I do is I just even it out like this, so where I could attach to the sole. See, I got a little dot there. 1, 2, 3. And I take bias. I call this, I guess they call it bias. Make sure it's soft and not stiff, and make the measurements. See, that's where it's going to attach like that. And then I cut it off and just watch it, how I touch it. I mark it there, and I also mark the soles. Here's a little point there. I just make a little dot there. Just a tiny little dot. And then squish it, even it out, and there's a little dot. And I sometimes do it the other way around to make sure it's quite even. So it's not quite even, so just pinch it through. And what I'll do is attach the bias, and here's the dot. That's the middle part, and see the dot there, and there's another dot for the middle part. So what I do is I always wear a thimble, and this one hit. I usually don't double it, so I'll just cut this off here a bit. To attach it, you just I use upholstery thread. It's the toughest thread you could find for doing my sewing. So what I do is I just doing a touch here. Doesn't have to be, just as long as it holds. And don't be afraid to pull on your thread, because this thread is strong. I always take my thimble out because it gets in the way, because this is so tedious to attach this. I always make sure I don't have a lot of thread hanging out. I'm very particular about that. And then you make another, do the other part here, there. And just make sure it's even, like this. It's good to have a little bit of long nails, it works better. But and there's a knot, a dot, and I check. See, it doesn't have to be quite even, but as long as it's close, it's okay. And push it through. Okay, there. Now we do the other one. It's good to use very soft hide, because then it's easy to work with. If it's stiff, then you'll have a hard time. Now this part is even. I haven't tried this with commercial hide. I imagine commercial hide might be a little tough to sew, but I'll leave this thread now. I'll just push that on the side. So I'm gonna, this is ready, so I'll use the light thread. For doing the crimping or pinching, I just double the thread. See, it doesn't have to be a big knot. Just I always trim off the excess one. I don't like my thread really all over the place, sticking out. And I always use a candle, just regular candle, just so wax it a bit. And now this part, you want to make at least about 5 at the most to get that. I don't know how you call it, but I call it in my language. Okay, here you just pinch it a bit, about that much, and hold it, and then sew it. Kind of pull on it so it's, see, just a tiny bit. Not too much, just enough that it would. Yeah, a lot of people want, if they teach them how to make my mini crafts. So this is just the basic foot sole I'm making. See, it's crimping, it's very tiny. You could go I do about 3 big little ones, so it and then I go kind of smaller, not too big. I could squeeze in another one. Just pull it out with your thread, with your needle, and okay. It works good. These little mini moccasins, if the hide is very soft. I never throw any of my scraps. I always use it for small things. And I always start from the middle. I work middle out. This way I find it works much, even with my bigger moccasins. I always start from the middle and work towards down. See there. See then I just put one knot because it's double thread, and just make sure it's secure. And I always go back one more, but and then I cut my thread. So there, see. Now we'll do the other part, the other ones. This one is okay. Okay, you do the other part. Just grab it and make sure the bias is even with the vamps, and then you pinch it. Then sometimes I just hold it tight and then just kind of push it in. It's nice to have a bit of a long nails for smaller stuff. It works better to use your nails. See, just pinch it right there, that little bump. This hide is very soft. Just a little pull on it so it squints. Okay, now we'll tie this part here. Someone asked me, how do I churn it inside out? I'll show you how to do that. Sometimes I just don't do this, and then you have to roll it. Just to see that why this goes like that, and I don't like it. There, doesn't work. You end up with too much thread. And what I do is I just use my fingers, or use, this is awesome, old I use wooden spoon. It works. Just push it through like that so it bubbles. And I always take my scissors and I work it, kind of pinch it down like that. There, see. Now to turn it inside out, since the hide is soft, it's easy, just push it in, kind of work it, trying to use your fingers to push it in, out, inside out. And then when I get this point, I don't know how you call this, but I use this. I just push it in, pull it, and hold it, and trying to work it down. See? There. And then just work it out. So this works. And then I kind of trying to hold this down and work on the seam. Press it in, right. When you do this, press it out, right here, like that. See, it just goes there. See, and then I have a kind of a small, kind of dull, not sharp scissors. I just pinch this down and trying to cut the excess part out, the excess of the bias, and hold it down, and just be careful so you don't cut your thread, and hold it down and then cut this part off. Just sort of it glides on top, so you don't, if you have thread, you don't want to cut it, then you're in trouble. You see, use your fingers inside to push the seam up a bit. See how, there it is. That part is pretty much done, and I measure it. I hold it down, and then I take my pencil, and I always make sure these, where I'm going to cut, evens out like that. Let's see, they look even. So then I take my dull scissors and then just cut these little dots for the foot, for the heel part. Right there, so, both sides. And what I do is I kind of, see, it matches. So I don't need to cut anything off where I'm gonna match. And I fold this part. Oh, it's this side. Oh, yeah. And fold it, see? Sometimes I look at it, I don't want this part too big. So what I do is I don't cut this side, but I take my sharp scissors and just snip a little bit to the middle, like just a little bit. And then we'll do the heels now. Okay, now we'll do the heel. Okay. Yeah. When you're using double thread, always make sure it kind of evens. You always have to check it. Okay, just folded it up. And I just use this to push, make sure it's even there. The heel is so small that you just need a couple of stitches alone. And then just slightly go back. Doesn't have to be, just skimp it through. And then go back to the other side. There. And then just go back slightly, just thin, not a big, just so it just, then you could cut it flush there. There you go. And I just take my scissors, trying to pinch this down, and then you flip it over like that, and then pull this out, and then just kind of press it down a bit more. And take your dull scissor. See, there's a bit of thread, so be careful. You just skimp it along, just slightly with your dull scissor. So it's, and then when you pull it out, there you go. See, that's the sole part that you could do. And if you want to make slippers, you just get a little bit of straud and measure it and make your slippers. And you could make it a little higher for wraparounds, and you could just create your own style, whatever you want to do with the top. Use your imagination, create. This is the crow boot I made, mini ones, this one. And if you want to make wraparounds with no beads, you can make them a little higher and make wraparounds with a little trimming, you call it, to make. So there it is, from Nikeeya's native craft. This, you could make straud and make mukluks too. Like, excuse me, I made a whole bunch. You could just create little mukluks like that. I just have to put fur on it and little tassels, and then it's done. So this is the basic sole part that you could do and use your imagination, create your own style for doing mini moccasins. I hope you enjoyed this video, and masicho for watching, and until next time, masi.
Did you like this video? If you did, I think you're gonna like this one right over here. So check it out. And I appreciate your subscribing if you haven't done so already. Remember to do that while you're watching this next video. Click like, it all helps us out for this channel. Catch you next time.